So basically what we want to do is get them eating foods which don't create as much of an insulin response. So carbohydrates cause the longest insulin response. So what's a carbohydrate? That's the first thing to understand, because people need to understand that the issue of complex and simple carbohydrates doesn't exist. Basically, a carbohydrate is a sugar, and a complex carbohydrate is 12 of those sugars combined together as a long molecule. But as soon as it hits your stomach, your enzymes break it down into 12 individual sugars. So a complex carbohydrate and a simple carbohydrate are essentially the same thing. So where are the carbohydrates? Well, this is where you're going to find them: bread, pasta, potatoes, rice, crackers, anything starchy at all. And brown rice is no better than white rice. Sweet potato is no better than a regular potato. Brown bread is no better than white bread in terms of the carbohydrate content. Once those carbohydrates hit your stomach, that's when you get the insulin response. When you get the insulin response, insulin initially is actually to drive sugar and protein into your muscles. But if your muscles are full, there's nowhere for that to go. So the glucose needs to get out of the bloodstream. And to get the glucose out of the bloodstream, it gets driven into fat cells. So essentially, you eat the carbohydrate, there's nowhere for it to go into muscle. The body wants to get it out of the blood. So where does it drive it? Into fat. Any glucose that you eat becomes fat. And so we need to get rid of all of the high glucose containing foods. So that's where those starchy foods come from. Now, protein does cause somewhat of an insulin response, but nowhere near as much as what glucose or carbohydrates do. And then fat causes even less of an insulin response. So having protein, you're best off having the combination of protein and fat together. So for example, a Scotch fillet as opposed to a chicken breast, because the chicken breast is almost pure protein. Now, if you're looking for the satiety as well, the fat and the protein together provide better satiety. So I guess it's a long-winded way of saying what I encourage people to do is really bump up their protein and eat things like green leafy vegetables, lettuce, mushrooms, those sorts of things, not the starchy vegetables, and really only eat when they're hungry, not eat because their watch says that it's time to eat. Now, it takes huge changes. So, for example, for breakfast, you might need to change to eggs, avocado, and salmon. But some people just like having steak for breakfast. That's fine. But if you don't want to have a steak for breakfast, there are other options. Lunch, if you want to have your salad, that's fine. But be careful what dressing you put on it, that it's not full of sugars as well. And, you want to have some protein with your salad. And then the same thing at dinner, if you're going to eat 3 meals a day. So it's really a question of educating them what carbohydrates are, how to avoid the carbohydrates, how to bump up their protein, how to eat the green leafy vegetables so that they're getting the nutrients that they need, and then only eat when you're hungry. That's kind of in a nutshell of the process.